So after 3 chapters of going through man-made structures here, finally get one that's just going up a mountain. That's right, just a mountain. About time here. Chapter 4, Golden Ridge. Boy, that advice is one that I just do not follow nearly as much as I probably should. For whatever reason, when I press the climb button, I never want to let go of it. I don't know why. I should probably stop deciding that I want to be hugging the mountain at all points in time. Frankly, I have no particular love for this evil, haunted mountain anyway. It's an obstacle to conquer. So anyway, yeah, you can see the couple new mechanics starting off right there. Clouds and bubbles. Oh, don't you worry. They're going to be coming up a whole lot in this level. With more, even. When I said that the mechanics are going to start coming fast and furious in the later chapters, I mean, it really does make the first 2 look pretty simple, all things considered, with the amount that you start getting in each one for this. But yeah, before I get into that, a little talk with the old woman. I mean, there's only actually like 4 NPCs in the entire game after all. It's no surprise that you're going to be seeing her again. And then a nice little, what appears to be a small swimming shack area. There's like the rules in the background. Yeah, even in the most mountainous area, you really get the feeling that this is a very tourist-friendly area. It's like you have 5-star hotels. You got the rules for swimming in the natural springs in the mountain. Of course, I mean, like the old woman seems to only be here. She knows shortcuts. Yeah, if all you wanted to do was get up to the top of the mountain, she probably got like an escalator installed in there or something. Also, incredibly unhelpful and unsupportive. I mean, I guess not that. Mind the wind. Get it? Yeah, that's gonna be one of them. One of the many things introduced in this chapter. I mean, and despite all of the whole touristy type atmosphere here, really not a whole lot of people coming. It's no wonder that hotel closed down and everything. And I don't know. There's something to be said about how much work seemed to go into that, and then how little fruit you seem to get from trying to make this a tourist destination. Oh, burn! I mean, you do live here by yourself, but I don't know. You got like a pen pal or something. I mean, Madeline clearly does. She's been talking to him in the loading tips. I'm friends with the mountain. Real Grizzly Adams type. Yeah, I know. Literally. In the form of a purple-haired doppelganger, in fact. Yeah, get a little bit of that underwater music there. I like that. I mean, it's a neat little touch, but like I said, water doesn't ever really get used too much in the game. I guess it's because a little too much free movement, you don't get the sort of challenge that you would otherwise. And one pretty obvious strawberry there too. I mean, no surprise there will be something up there. It was just too obvious to ignore. And nah, no secrets like the chapter 3 thing again. Hey, wait a second. Wait, hold on a second. Canadian flag. Wait. Irritating old women. Abundance of hipsters. Incredibly harsh, terrible climate. Oh my god, we're in Canada. Wait. No wonder no one lived in the Forsaken City. It's because no one could afford to live there. We're in Vancouver. Oh, of course. God, it only makes sense now. Okay, enough of that. That exhausted all of the knowledge that I have of Canada. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Matt Thorson is Canadian or something, which would explain the... You know, also having the little Canadian sticker, maple leaf, whatever, on the postcards, too. Before each area. Well, anyway, let's start out with talking about some of the gimmicks here. I mean, obviously you saw wind there. Wind is exactly what you think it is. Works the exact same way that it does in just about every platformer. The exact same horribly obnoxious way. Clouds here, you get a little extra height if you jump off of them at their bounciness, apex of bouncing. If you don't, that happens. And does that happen way too often to me? Oh, you know it does. I cannot even tell you how often I just jump a little too early, and then instead of jumping up high, you just don't actually move at all. It's great. It's certainly not incredibly frustrating, and I would rather deal with wind 1,000 times over before saying that. The other thing, though, would be those crazy... Well, I mean, here you got Gutsman platforms, but, I mean, those are Gutsman platforms. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at Gutsman stage all the way back in Mega Man 1. Starts out with pretty much the same thing, although I suppose those drop out from under your feet. I don't know. Oh, another thing with wind is that you're not really affected when dashing by the wind, which is obviously kind of how you move around freely with that. But additionally, you're not really affected if you're ducking. Yeah, it's weird like that. So if you're ducking, well, so you can actually kind of like do this weird little duck walk to move a bit freer in the wind. And considering that wind is blowing both east and west at various speeds and sometimes at various intervals, that can be a somewhat useful thing. I'm not going to say it's really useful, but there's something there. These green bubbles. Simply put, they're pretty much static dashes that give you essentially a second dash, but only in one location. You have to get to them to be able to use them. And then they restore your dash, they restore your stamina. So yeah, they're essentially like a second dash. Nice, 69 strawberries. So I mean, it's a pretty simple, easy to understand concept, but executed in a neat way. Oh man, the strawberry seeds mechanic. I haven't seen this one in a little while. And like I said, wind can also be intermittent. Ooh boy. Ooh Nelly. So for example, this one starts as soon as you collect one of the strawberry seeds and then continues until you get all of them. Obviously not too difficult because when you have that little spring platform in the middle there, you pretty much have as many jumps as you need. Just go re-hit that one every single time that you need a restoration on your stamina or dash power. Yep, it's a B-side already. I think at this point specifically, I really didn't require that viewfinder to see exactly what you need to do. This is pretty simple. A lot of wall jumping. Yeah, nailed it. But yeah, here's that whole climbing way too much on walls thing. But yeah, I think I did this about at the point in time where I was getting kind of sick of doing the Chapter 3, so I decided, okay, I'm at least going to go grab this before I get on with it. I didn't realize it was going to be so close to the beginning. I was kind of surprised even myself. Did a pause there at the beginning of this area, you might have noticed. That I was able to find it that quickly. I mean, it's totally random exactly where you're going to find the B-side for. Oh, man. It's totally random exactly where you're going to find the B-side tape for each area in the game. Sometimes it's right near the end, sometimes it's right near the beginning. I would say probably more often than not right near the beginning. Which is weird because you'd think they kind of want to hide that a little bit more. It is unlocked. I guess it's entirely optional either way. Ah, yes, this is showing off another little mechanic of the wind, where if it's blowing you against the wall like that, if you're doing wall jumps, you'll be close enough to the... If you're doing wall jumps against the wall, the wind will blow you back close enough to the wall that you're able to kind of scale it despite running out of stamina, for example. Yeah, and you can see that even though I was out of stamina, I was still doing wall jumps, I was still able to scale the wall despite that. So this area, named the... Pull up the thing. Named the Shrine, introduces the next new mechanic, and actually in a pretty cool way. You might have noticed in the... Actually, I don't remember if I saw it or not, but in the very beginning of the Shrine area here, you might have seen that there was a very obvious sort of critical path right above me here. You can see that light. That's where you're supposed to go. However, there's all these areas around here that you can go into instead, which kind of teach you how do these platforms work. And the platforms work pretty simply. If you're standing on a button part of them, whether it's grabbing, doing a little wall climbing on the side of them where there's button, or standing on top of them where there's button. Yeah, here's the wall. Here's the side climbing style. You can control where the platform goes. I mean, obviously it starts in one direction, and then as soon as it hits the wall or something like that, it will be destroyed, but then respawn a couple seconds later. So obviously you can tell that all the puzzles or challenges using this here. Hey, pro strats. All the puzzles or challenges require kind of keeping that platform alive until you get to the other side of the screen, or maneuver, or like getting rid of them so that you can use platforms so that other platforms don't run into them. They're not static, like obstacles. And that's kind of how. So this is essentially a very quick section if you want it to be. If you know how these platforms work, you can just grab onto the one on the bottom and then just zoom right up to the top, that light-filled area, or you can go around each one of these sections. Man, this one took me a really long time, despite the fact that it's not very difficult. I don't know. Yeah, like that's what you're supposed to do, but some reason I think it comes down to the fact that I just love gripping onto that wall a lot. But yeah, each one of these sections, then you can complete it, kind of understand a bit more about how these platforms work, and then grab a strawberry. And then when you're done with it, even it closes up the area behind you so that you know, okay, you don't have anything more to do here. Yeah, but if you just want to continue on here, if you're doing speedrunning or whatever, just grab onto that platform on the bottom. Go right up to the light corridor up there, and you're done. It's a pretty neat, like, little design here. This, I suppose, it's called a shrine, but it's kind of like a strawberry shrine here in some ways. Yeah, it's pretty obvious there that there is a second strawberry in that area. And what you gotta do is you gotta jump on there without dashing first. I mean, come on. But like I said, as soon as the platform gets destroyed, it respawns pretty quickly. So I exploited that for all it's worth, and I decided not to dash at the last second there and ruin my ability to break that block. And there you go. Really don't even need the ability to... Yeah, what is up? You don't really need the ability to control that platform. They give it to you anyway, though. But it's like, yeah, what is up with those giving you numbers? I mean, apparently there, I didn't only get 1,000 for collecting that strawberry. I got 2,000. 2,000 what? 2,000 points? 2,000 strawberry? 2,000 milliliters of strawberry juice? I don't know. Like, what? I guess the idea is probably a holdover from the old Pico 8 version of the game where you got points or something? Or something? I don't get it. But apparently the fact that it's programmed in there to give you can get more than 1,000 points at a time. I didn't get 1,000 points twice. I got 2,000 points from that. I don't know, it's weird. Also, yeah, in that last little section is a little tiny outhouse. One of the weirder sort of background objects. Secrets and secrets. And oh boy, this area. That one I got something to say about. You might have noticed, yeah, this is one of the puzzles related, well, one of the challenges related where you need to move blocks out of the way so that they don't interrupt other blocks or stop other blocks, destroy them, whatever. But yeah, you might have noticed that these platforms are actually pretty similar to ones that appear in Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, in Super Mario Bros. 3, what you did was you just jumped on top of them to flip the direction that a block went, but it shared a lot of the same, rather than, have fine motor control over them by holding onto a button or something like that. But it's a very similar sort of look to it, and a very similar sort of mechanic. Crystal Heart up there. And all you're given as a hint is this white block. Now, I was just talking about Super Mario Bros. 3 there. And that's when after kind of screwing around here, I realized, wait a second, that looks exactly like in a thing in 1.3 of Super Mario Bros. 3, I want to say, which did the exact same thing. What you did was you ducked on top of it, and then it would send you behind, and then you'd be in the background. You go behind the goal of the area, and you go behind the goal of the area, and then it sends you to a special Toad house where it gives you one of the warp whistles that you can use to, you know, to warp around in the game. And its purpose fulfilled, it returns to hell, I guess. I don't know. Why does it just disappear? But yeah, so it took me a second there, but you could see that I pretty quickly figured that out because I'm like, oh, it's a Mario Bros. 3 reference. However, that's a secret in even Mario Bros. 3. How are you supposed to figure out that you need to duck on top of that block for a few seconds if you're not familiar with that exact weirdo little factoid about how to get a warp whistle in Super Mario Bros. 3? I mean, I guess, again, these blocks are pretty similar to something that appears in Super Mario Bros. 3, but I don't know. I just find it... I think that's a little too obscure, a little too weird for this game. Because in general, this game is fairly well designed. Yeah, I don't know why. I just decided that I wanted to kill myself. I wanted that 1,000. Gotta get my 1Ks, man. But yeah, in general, I think that the secrets in this game are pretty easy, pretty obvious to understand. Cracks in walls, you know, areas kind of carved out to seem suspicious. I keep trying to climb above the screen or whatever, and it never really works because that would be a entirely unprecedented thing kind of for this game. It would be a sort of secret that has no indication. I mean, even like the sort of hidden strawberry, man, it's really an easy one. I'm still screwing it up. But yeah, even that hidden strawberry at the very start of this area was... there was a very big alcove that you could see there. Things like being denoted with signs or whatever, for example, in the first... Oh yeah, more achievements. Great, yeah, that's what I need. But yeah, even in the first area, for example, I had trouble finding one of like little secret areas, secret alcoves that existed. But, yep, mechanics that you gotta use together and not do what I did. But yeah, it was still denoted by like a sign that pointed upwards, showing you that there's some sort of secret there. That one's too obscure. It's too weird. And it's a specific video game reference, and to something that I would think that somebody playing video games in 2018, there's a good chance that they might not have played Super Mario Bros. 3. I don't know. It's too obscure. Too obscure is what I'm getting at here. Yeah, wind working along with everything here. You start to get all of the mechanics sort of intertwined, figure out exactly what you need to do to be able to accomplish that. Like I said, you can dash through wind and... oh, wow. You can dash through wind, and since the bubbles work as static dashes, you can use that to get pretty good distance even if you're getting a decent amount of resistance from the wind there being put up. But you can also see that this is the third section, the old trail, I think. Or is this the fourth one? I think this is the old trail. Yeah, still trying to do that old dashing trick. There's nothing really... again, it's like the secrets are not too secretive. And with the exception of that crystal heart, I think that Thorson did a pretty good job of... pink clouds. Oh, did I ever say these pink clouds? You jump on them once and they disappear, and then they'll come back after a few seconds. I mean, it was pretty obvious, but... it bears repeating anyway. It kills a couple seconds in the videos. A couple seconds more commentary that I don't have to do. Hey! But, yeah, no, don't dash forward. That doesn't work. Obviously. Yeah, the obvious way to do this is to, you know, dash upwards a second time, dash to the right, and then dash upwards. It's kind of showing you how you're supposed to use the dashes here to angle yourself, rather than just trying to use it to get one extra long dash in an area. It's like, no, it's a It's all about kind of figuring out what you need to do with the dashes, too. And this is kind of a sticky wicket, especially because now I can't start at the beginning again. It saved my progress. And that wind is a killer. Hey, wind is a very classic sort of platformer thing. I want to say that it, along with blacking out the screen, like Blackout Basement style, if you ever played Donkey Kong Country, the original. And, oh, what? Ice physics? Ice physics. Probably like the holy trinity of just awful, awful platform mechanics that are horribly, horribly obnoxious. Not as bad in this game, I think, because one of the things that Celeste has over, say, Mario, I mean, Mario, you don't have to plan out a very specific route along with extremely fine-tuned controls to understand exactly how to, you know, barely maneuver your way through a level. Whereas Celeste, you do. So there's only so much you can do with wind. Wow, I'm bad at using those. But yeah, there's only so much you can do with wind while also, you know, still having the sort of fine control, extreme platforming sort of elements here. So it's actually not too bad because wind actually kind of takes away a few, wind takes away a few sort of controls, like some ability to control your character, which makes it even less things you have to worry about. So the solution to puzzles, for example. I keep calling them puzzles, despite the fact that, you know, challenges would be more appropriate. The solution, like the intended path or even the optimal path becomes, like the possibilities for that become smaller because you have to deal with wind. You have to design around wind. That does not make it, you know, not obnoxious, certainly. However, it does make it a bit easier. For example, you have to understand in this area that you will have to deal with the wind. You can't not deal with the wind. So you kind of understand immediately what you need to do to get that strawberry. Jump across there, and then use the crystals to get back. Pretty simple here. Well, like in something like Mario, for example, you're not, you don't have to deal with a wind gust, you know, being something carefully designed around. It's something that you can sort of slap onto a level to just make it more difficult. It always comes down to that, oh yeah, and then in Mario hacks, but what can I say? I just love using that as an example for game design. This one is so easy, but I don't know why. I just could not do it. I mean, it's obvious. What you do is you just grab onto the wall, and then there's just the second of hang time before the moving platform starts moving. You drop down onto the emblem, circle, shield thing, and then grab onto the front of the platform. And then jump off it before you die, before you get squished. And yet, for some reason, I decided, nah, I'm too cool to do it like that. It's very much a square peg in a round hole sort of problem here, which for some reason I did eventually make work, but boy did I make this one a lot harder on myself than I needed to. See, I did it. Poorly. You just grab onto the front of the platform. It's so easy. Man. Looks like there should be a secret in back there, but there's not. And yeah, the fact that was kind of sitting in the middle of nowhere, and I think the way that it's supposed to be planned, that you're supposed to realize that you're not, that a platform is going to fall, is the fact that it has no vegetation or any sort of background elements on it or anything. Also, the fact that it's just kind of hanging out in the middle of nowhere for no real reason, apparently, but I did not realize that. You know, that's always the curse of going into things blind. I like doing the whole post-commentary thing because, or at the very least, like, kind of practicing games and not showing the first attempt, because it prevents me from looking like a total goober. Chocolate-covered peanuts. But Unfortunately, not always the case here. I want to keep myself a little fresh because I like this game, and even though I played it once before, I did not remember that part in particular. Oh, whoops. Another example of the wind might be super harsh, but at the same time, your course is kind of already plotted out for you. Especially because, again, this game is very speedrunner friendly, so that everything's sort of planned out here that you're supposed to get through on the first cycle. It's supposed to be possible on the first cycle. So if you sort of rush it, the path can become even more clear than if you take the path you need to take or that you want to take can become even more clear than if you took it really slowly and meticulously. It's weird in that way. And that was the point when I saw, hey, wait a second, what's up with that wall? Or maybe it was this one, I don't know. And then I forget all about that strawberry way up on top, which was a bad idea because, forgetting about that was, kind of left me with some headaches later on. Yeah, just doing right angle jumps there again. Pretty simple. And here's one where you gotta, well, it's again a right angle, but a right angle in a different way. A horse of a different right angle. And then for some reason, this section up here, which I just completely was unable to do for more than a few times. It's not even difficult. Like, this would be the harder part to kind of realize. It's like, nah, man, you gotta angle your jumps. But for some reason, this upper part was the real test of skill for me. Yeah, you really don't need to dash up. You can just dash into the wall, too, and wait for the... Yeah, it's obvious, but that's not the secret. Yeah, you can just dash into the wall and then wait for the bubble to respawn. Bubble respawns pretty quickly, but not super quickly. Yeah, there's the real secret. So as the music gets very intense in the, what is this place called? Cliff Face, the final section here. As you can probably tell, I mean, come on, the music always really kicks up in the last few seconds where it's like, oh, come on. It's crunch time. It's real time right now. Get to it, dog. But no, instead, I'm going to be doing this kind of tricky sort of area here. Hope you've been getting used to the arrow platforms and bubbles here, because they're going to be used to the greatest extent possible, the fullest extent of the law. Yeah, it's got buttons on the side. I didn't see that. Nope, you want to jump off and then do a dash. Pretty obvious. And of course it took me a long time to figure out this one. It is one of the trickier sections here, being, you know, the final section of the chapter, and also you got all of the tools here to make this a pretty difficult area. Thankfully not wind though. Although wind I don't think would be too bad, because you also don't get affected by wind if you're climbing on the wall, with the exception of that wall jumping thing that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, a little awkward jump right at the end there, which is what screws me up. Probably should have just dashed forward rather than up and to the left. And then that sort of angle dash that I like so much. But whatever, it worked out just fine anyway. And there we go. Final section is all about extreme wind. You can barely even, like, pressing forward like that, it barely gives you any, I mean, just holding forward barely gives you any amount of forward momentum there. And there's where that whole ducking thing comes in. You can make Madeline do the duck walk. Isn't that cool? Stupid. And this is another one of those designs where even at the most ridiculous of the wind, the design is pretty clear here how you're supposed to do it. You just hold forward and then dash. There, you might, if you do it a little too quickly, you might accidentally dash off the front of the farthest platform there. But other than that, it's the harsher wind actually makes the path for this area even clearer. there's not too much more that you could possibly do or not do or whatever. Woof. This one took me longer than some of the B-side sections for some reason. I don't know why, but I actually did not get it for some reason. I don't know, maybe it was just the wind, maybe it was playing for a really long time, but yeah, that was more than a few attempts that I had to cut out there to get that one done proper. And yep, for one good measure, it's the Oshiro style of enemy? I mean, they're big balls of snow. Like, I can't imagine that they have too much malicious intent in their cold, icy hearts. Anyway, yeah, big balls of snow. They come in from the right side of the screen, wherever you're standing. You can do a Goomba hop on them. You can do a Goomba hop on them to restore your dash, restore your stamina. Does that get used in the B-side? Oh, it absolutely does. I should just get used in the B-side, or... Wait, now... I don't know, maybe. Yeah, nah, try again. You got wind going on, dude. But yeah, those things are irritating, but they're not, they're far from insurmountable. I mean, they always spawn on screen where you're at. When they spawn, they're on the exact y-axis that you're standing, so it's usually pretty obvious where they're gonna be. Now, the hard part is kind of not jumping directly into them, but also, if you're trying to jump on top of them, sort of getting that timing down, because it can be a little tricky. It's very forgiving, as you saw there. This game, again, follows a sort of Mario design of hopping on top of things is heavily weighted towards the player rather than the enemy, as it should be. But that doesn't mean that, you know, you're invincible. It just means that if you're kind of above it when you collide with it, you will probably stomp on its head rather than stomp on itself rather than getting killed. Also, yeah, you saw that area there, no vegetation or whatever on it, so yep, that's how you know. This is probably if there's one time that you're not very tricky, doesn't matter, I dashed right into that snowball anyway. Yeah, it's interesting that the quote-unquote boss fight of this area is against snowballs. Hey, it's the mountain area, you know? It's windy. Like, I almost half expect to see like a snowman throwing snowballs at you at the end of this, because how does this even make it? Whatever, video game, but still. In an area where the extremely harsh conditions of it make it more obvious how exactly you're supposed to conquer it. Or even conquer's bad fur day. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, I mean, you can pretty easily see that secret there. Yep. I don't even know why I tried that. It's pretty obvious that that wouldn't work in any way. Maybe if you're some sort of a 6 speedrunner / tasser, you might be able to accomplish that, but that does not describe me. I did actually manage to pull off one task trick that I know of at one point in time in the Chapter 3 B-side, I want to say. And that is, apparently, if you are, I don't know, frame perfect or something, you can actually jump on top of spikes. Like, as soon as you hit spikes or something, instead, if you jump, you won't die, you will actually jump off of them, which is, I mean, I have seen like a little bit of a task, not too much of one. Again, I want to keep myself clean for the game and all that, but I did that completely by accident, and then I looked it up online, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a task thing. Woo, I accomplished it. Which was a complete fluke, as you can tell by the fact that I got killed by clouds there. Yeah, good stuff. Get a little psyched out by that wind, and then you're like, oh no, I want to try to get as far forward as possible, and it screws you up. I mean, it's every time, man. Frustrating. Again, that's not even the difficult part of this. If you get down to that second bubble, you should be able to get onto that cloud easily. Ah, well, I suppose this is supposed to be the hardest section, you know, being the fourth one. What was it called again? You know this? Cliff Face. Yes. Good stuff. And there you go. I mean, not like that. You're clearly supposed to dash up and then not into the spikes, but I mean, you know. To each their own. Yeah, you don't even need to hit out that second area. Yeah, and I tried to do the whole ducking to get forward, but there was absolutely no reason for that. Man. Ah, almost got me there. And that was so close, but I did manage to get it first try. Oh yeah. It's nice stuff. Maybe Theo's just asking that old woman for directions on how to get up this mountain, because that doesn't really strike me as a particularly good mountain climbing move. But yeah, this is why you had to meet Theo in the third chapter, because otherwise this area would, well, this part would be kind of weird, if not. Yeah, Theo becomes a little bit more plot critical in, well, the end of this chapter and the beginning of the next chapter. So, you know, kind of makes sense that, besides, I could imagine that Thorson was also not really too enthused about writing more first-time meeting Theo dialogue again. I mean, it looks kind of like a safe. Also, you might notice that the what do you call it? The icon for this area was a gondola. And yeah, it only appears at the very, very end of the area. I mean, for a really nice ending and everything, but just kind of goes to show you how this is, like, how else would you represent it? It is the mountain climbing section. It's the most mountainy type section that there is. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think these are just clouds. I don't even think this is, you can consider this mist up here. Yeah, the gondola stopped before Badlin appearing. Interesting. I mean, she is the shadow. Embodiment of all of her anxiety about this. So it makes sense that she's kind of here. I mean, I guess you could also see that as maybe that she stopped the gondola too, but I don't know. That's right, it's minigame time, everybody. Yeah, if you skip the cutscene, you don't have to do this, but, you know, it's fun. So you hold down the jump button, and it causes the feather to go off. And then you get that little box there, and you just got to get the feather within that box for a certain amount of time. Breathing exercises, meditation, all that sort of thing. I mean, you know, provided that you don't screw it up like I was just about to there. Stagger those button presses, man. Hey, the area is all about wind, too, so it's appropriate. Yeah, that's how a gondola works. Why not? I guess it works by movie logic, where if you break something, it actually makes it more likely to work. I call it the Fonzie principle. Yeah, thanks. And that's Chapter 4, y'all. Well, at least Chapter 4A side. Oh, you know the B-side's coming up. Why? Because that's kind of how I format these videos. But also, hey! Oh, also a couple extra strawberries. I think I managed to get most of them? Yeah, only missing 2. That was a pretty good one. Usually I miss a lot more insofar as the strawberry collection goes. Yep, old trail. And one of those ones was doing the secret section kind of locked me out of getting that, the one where you need to use the bubbles. Kind of annoying. Yep, because yeah, it's kind of obvious that that's there actually because of the wind mechanics and the way that the wind mechanics work. You know, pushing you against the wall, allowing you to climb it even if after you run out of stamina, etc. Not too much point to making that a flying strawberry. Was there? Ah, well, whatever. That's the first one down. And then, like I said, it took me far, far too long to realize because I did keep going through the secret section. You can even see how it was unlocked there. Yeah, whoops. I mean, you find the secret, and it's like, hey, I've already done this one before. Why bother going through the regular section? Oh, right, the strawberry. That's kind of an important thing. So, hey, I also get to see the you know, proper route for this, too. It's actually not too much different. A lot of empty space there, though. All right, you know what time it is. And this time I don't even need to do a cut. Just go right to B-side. Well, I mean, okay, there was a cut anyway, but... Golden Feather Mix. That's right, it's Golden Feather time. I mean, it makes sense because... Oh, boy. Also gotta say, I really like that name, In Love with a Ghost. I mean, why wouldn't you be? Ample experience in history, ability to fly, sweet ghost butt. I mean, not like Oshiro. I mean, maybe if he was Mr. Oshiri. Hey! Yeah, okay, that's not bad. Not actually too difficult here starting off. And here you get the... I mean, I kind of pointed out the Gutsman platforms because I knew about this section, and I think one other section here kind of like it. But I guess it was considered enough of a gimmick that they're removing platforms to include that. I'd kind of disagree with that assessment, but you know, whatever. To each their own and all that. Nah, you gotta circle back around there. Yeah, the whole like dash refreshing of that as well as stamina refreshing does get used a whole lot. I mean, here it's explicitly for that purpose that you're supposed to use the bubble to refresh your dash to be able to get in there. Also something that comes up a little bit later in the game too, when you dash into a breakable or interactable by dashing object, it will propel you up quite a bit. That got me killed there, in fact, but... Ooh, yeah, you bet that one comes up a lot more. Oof, it comes up so much more. You don't even know. Yeah, at this point, I am in, I have finished the main game and all the B-sides, and I am now into extra content, let's say that. And despite the fact that this is the Golden Bridge, or Golden Ridge, not Golden Bridge, what? Despite the fact that this is the Golden Ridge, let's just say that I'm probably not going to be going for gold in this game after learning about some of the stuff that I learned about. I was thinking about it at the start here, but there's just gonna be a point where it's like, I don't know, I can give it an attempt, but I don't really think I'll be able to do it. It's just, oh god, some of those later sections get just brutal. Let me tell you. There you go. Just gotta thread some of them needles. I actually managed that one just fine. This one is a little bit more tricky, which is why I didn't quite nail it on the first try. I mean, it's pretty obvious. All you gotta do is just dash forward, but you gotta do it at the right time. Hoo boy. You know, and speaking of the Golden Ridge, despite it being kind of the more milquetoast sort of, what do you call it type area, mountainy type area, there still is a lot going on here too. I mean, obviously the whole golden background, first off, it gives it a really nice aesthetic. And each one of the areas has kind of its own unique thing going on, whether it's those flags in the background that you can see, a lot of sort of ramshackle structs in the background there too. You can see like a lot of wood sort of supporting the mountainous type area. And then overall, there's a nice little color scheme thing going on with yellow and purple. The yellow of the background, and then the purple of the rock around here. Complementary colors, if you will. It looks really nice, I think. I'll say this, wind is actually used a lot less than I thought it would be in the B-side. When I saw this, I was thinking, oh god, it's just gonna be wind, it's just gonna be like in a permanent wind tunnel. No, it's actually mostly about like the using bubbles and the Mario 3 style arrow platforms rather than dealing with a bunch of wind shenanigans. And I think that's kind of because of what I was talking about before, where it's sort of, it limits your movement enough that you can't, that it's just, it's almost too easy to create a sort of, well, to force you into a certain way to do the area. I don't know, it's, so although it does appear a bit, it doesn't appear nearly as often as I thought it would. Yeah, another little background object here, a lot of flags. Obviously you had the big, yeah, sure, that works. Obviously, you have the big Canadian flag right at the start there. But here, and that's obviously the proper way to do it. I mean, maybe not the speedrun way to do it, though. Oh, God, this one. This one took me a while to do. But yeah, flags in the background. Kind of showing the wind going on there. You get some physics stuff. They also just look nice too. It's neat. You also see in the background there some like big roots. Oh, so much cutting on this one. It's like, yeah, and even despite all that cutting, there's still a lot of failure to be had. It's kind of ridiculous. You can see sort of what you're supposed to do is not, like, be crawling on everything, but do a sort of weird dance of, so close. But yeah, you're not supposed to be crawling on it, you're supposed to do sort of like a weird dance where you go around on the other side by doing wall jumps, and it's not easy. I mean, the timing is obviously enough that when you get it down, you kind of get it down. That's a sort of a common theme for a lot of stuff in B-side, where if I was asked to do the B-side again, it would probably be significantly easier because I kind of have the, I wouldn't even say muscle memory, but just sort of knowledge of what I need to do to get it done. It has been ingrained into my fingertips. Not that it makes it easy, but it does make it a lot more approachable when you know what you need to do at each point. For example, here, you might be able to kind of tackle this in a few different ways. For example, like that. But in reality, you know, that is like the way you want to do it. You just gotta make sure that you can get that last one. But yeah, going from the right side might also be entirely possible, but not really. I don't know. I think yeah, if I was gonna do it again, I would try to approach it from the bubble side first and then go to the right. Because that's a rough jump, no matter how you cut it. And one more, nope. Yeah, trying to go with the wind. It's a lot better than fighting the wind. Let's just say that. Not that I didn't give an attempt here. I mean, if nothing else, this was the area where I probably did things in the most boneheaded, nonsensical way possible for no real reason, and really to my own detriment. And yet somehow I got it to work in some cases. I don't know. Hey man, squeaky wheel gets the grease, and sometimes a squeaky wheel manages to continue to work, regardless of how squeaky it is. You gotta dash faster than that, man. And there we go. Yeah, speaking of dashing faster, there's a mechanic in the game that I've never really talked about. Oh, third section. Oh, by the way, the second section, I don't think I actually said it. It was called Gusty Canyon. More like Gutsy Canyon. But yeah, this is the Eye of the Storm. So no surprise it starts out with quite a bit of wind here. Not quite. That said, not too difficult of a section to start out with. But yeah, there is a thing in the game that I have not really talked about to this point, which is kind of surprising, called Assist Mode. Which is, pretty simply put, it sort of makes it so that you are doing a real-life task version of the game. And from what I understand, it doesn't actually, like, shut off any of the achievements or whatever. You can get everything normally using Assist Mode as much as you can with, so close. With normal mode. It's just, the idea is that, what it does is you can turn on a few different things, like making Madeline invincible, like literally lowering the speed of the game, so you're doing it at like 95% speed, or like 50% speed, go very slow. Like I said, sort of like a task. Tool-assisted speedrun, if you're not familiar with that. Essentially, using slowdown, save states, all that sort of stuff, you can kind of make a non-human error created speed run of a game with that. I mean, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably know that, but I don't know, maybe you don't. And there, Assist Mode, it's a really nice thing, actually. It reminds me a lot of, I think, Bayonetta 2 had an auto combo mode, which was just a fantastic, which, you know, the Bayonetta games, along with Devil May Cry, you know, it's a initial sort of inspiration and all that sort of stuff. A very brutal, very difficult sort of game, but the auto combo system makes it so that anybody can enjoy the game, regardless of, you know, if they don't have the, you know, maybe it's some sort of disability, maybe they just don't have the patience to really play through some of the more ridiculous, horrible parts of it. I mean, I'm sure that you could probably make a case that's just like, nah, man, it's kind of like straight up cheating or whatever, but I don't know. It's the idea that it's called Assist Mode really does kind of, you know, help you understand that it's like, hey, there's an intended way to play the game, but you know what? If you want to play it anyway, but if you are having trouble with it, you can still play the game anyway despite that. It's an appreciable, it's an appreciated little mechanic that I like quite a bit. Even though I am very explicitly not using it because, hey, come on. What sort of video maker man would I be if I was not at least trying to play the game in the way that it is intended to be played? But hey, I could go for the golden ending with that if I really wanted to. I don't know. I feel like if I'm not doing the golden ending in you know, normal mode, I don't know. I'd rather just be like, whatever. That is the mountain that I will not climb. This section is the hardest section of this, at the very least for me, because, oh god, I don't know why, just something about the way things are timed up here. Even though it's pretty obvious how everything works. I mean, you probably kind of figured out from the very beginning sort of how it's supposed to go, right? I could not, for some reason, get the timing. I don't know, I just couldn't do it. I tried. I mean, you can see plenty of times where I get up to the top there and, you know, all I had to do was just be a fraction of a second quicker, but for some reason I just couldn't. This one was real hard. At least get a nice good look at the death screen there, which is what appears to be wind swiping in from the right side to the left side. I like that one. That one and the keyhole one are probably my favorite in the game. Well, maybe there's one more, but that one doesn't come up for quite a while. Oh, man. All right. Here's where you can start to see that I'm starting to get them a little bit more consistently. Just gotta do it the once, though. I mean, that's the nice thing about the whole challenge platform format. It's only you need to restart the entirety of B-side every single time you screw up. Ugh. And I think that's also what makes it a little bit easier to deal with. Oh, so close. I think that's also what makes it a little bit. That was so close to getting there. I almost fell down because I didn't see that it was going to stop. But hey, I didn't. Run is saved. But yeah, I think that's also something that makes it a little easier to deal with the wind. The fact that you just immediately start over, whereas something like Mario, for example, you do have to kind of do the whole death jingle. Da 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 da. That's not it, but you get the point. A little bit of needle threading, and then it's. Well, this is definitely a cooldown section. Oh. But yeah, when you have a long time to restart each thing, and you need to go back through an entire level, it becomes a lot more frustrating to deal with this. Wind switching directions. This is not accurate to any sort of meteorological phenomenon that I know. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it is. But anyway, yeah, it's nice that there's almost kind of two cooldown sections there. It was appreciated. And hey, points with clouds where you're not supposed to do the large jump off of them. Not that difficult, but it's the sort of thing that I've talked about before, where you get a little bit psyched out after you do some real difficult sections, and then even something that's pretty easy. Oh, this is not easy. See that jump there? That's not easy. That's why there was a lot of cutting there too, because after that one section with the large fly-in block, Mario 3 block, I don't know what you call it. It's like I just decided, you know what? Let's just do some easy cutting here instead of having to do a. Well, you know, in the original like Dead Cells runs, I would call that the montage type thing, even though it's not technically a montage. More of a montage in like the original French cinema version of the word, but I don't even know what I'm getting at here. Anyway, yeah, simple, but can be a little deceptively difficult. That said, after you get the first one of these, it's not too bad. You just gotta, real close. Yeah, that wind appearing there for the last second just kind of psych you out a little bit. Ugh. That said, not too bad, though. Also, you get to see another one of those broken outhouses. Great stuff. Why outhouses? I don't get that one. Real close, but not quite there. Oh, yeah, if you don't press anything as soon as you get into a bubble, I think it just goes to the right automatically. Which, obviously, will get you killed more often than not. And usually at the point in time where... so close. And usually at the point in time where, there's a lot of times where I don't think I'm going to make the jump and I just kind of like set down the keyboard. Yeah, I'm still using the keyboard. That doesn't stop, by the way. But yeah, where I just kind of set down the keyboard and I'm like, all right, I'll wait for the respawn. And it's like, oh wait, no, I actually made it. Dead. That is a frustratingly common occurrence, in fact, in some of the later B-sides, let's say that. Jump and, wind screwed me up there. You gotta be careful. You gotta be like the wind itself. There you go. Not grabbing onto the side of that, too, also helped quite a bit. Oh, come on! Psyching you out there again with that wind suddenly cutting out. And then literally the exact same sort of thing happening at the very end as the A side. One last final little rock to fall down there. Yeah. It's like, you're not getting me. At least that one was pretty obvious when you see it. Classic start. But yeah, you can see the sort of little frustrating thing here is because you have to dash into the heart to actually collect it. It's like, that can screw you up pretty easily here. And indeed, I did get screwed up by that quite a few times here, even though, again, the little the end sections of the B-side where you gotta do the B-block galaxy stuff, not actually all that difficult. Hey! See, I told you it screwed me up a few times. It's like not actually all that difficult. It's kind of usually more of a little cooldown section than anything else, but that doesn't mean that I don't die here my fair share either. And there you go. Golden Feather. This one, I died probably more in Golden Feather, at least up to this point, than any other section, but I didn't really feel like it was too bad. I felt like it was a pretty approachable one compared to, like, I don't know, B-side of Chapter 2 I had a lot of trouble with, even though I didn't actually die all that often. Oh boy, does it really start to stack up over time. Well, see you next time for Chapter 5. A real long one.